There are moments that divide your life into before and after. Mine came on an ordinary Tuesday evening when I picked up my wife's phone to silence a notification while she showered. One message, 3 words.
Miss you already.
The sender's name was one I'd heard mentioned casually at dinner parties.
Just a colleague,
she had said. 20 seconds later, I knew 15 years of marriage had been built on quicksand. A strange numbness spread through me, as if my body understood before my mind could process what I was seeing. The screen blurred as my eyes filled with tears. In that moment, I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air that wouldn't come. My name is Robert Jones, and I'll tell you how I became a survivor. The phone shook in my hand. I went through months of private messages, explicit photos, and stories of hotel encounters. All this while I stayed home with our kids. They made plans while I organized our anniversary trip. They shared love declarations while I wore the wedding band she gave me before God. Time felt like it was breaking apart. My chest tightened as if filled with concrete. How many nights did I fall asleep beside her, trusting and unaware? How many mornings did I kiss her goodbye, never guessing her lips had been elsewhere? The ground of my reality cracked beneath me. I felt lost in a life I no longer recognized. I remembered our first date 17 years ago. We met at a coffee shop near the university. We lingered over textbooks. I spilled my latte while trying to talk to her. She laughed, not unkindly, and offered me napkins.
Architecture student?
She asked, noticing my drafting tools. I returned the question, and she replied,
Future kindergarten teacher. I believe in building foundations too, just different ones.
I fell in love with her at that moment. It took 3 more coffee shop coincidences before I finally asked her to dinner. I didn't hear the shower stop. I didn't notice her enter the room, wrapped in a towel, with water dripping onto the hardwood floor I had installed myself the summer before. But I felt her presence suddenly, like a chill on a warm June evening.
Robert?
I looked up, tears streaming down my face, the phone in my hand, her messages illuminated on the screen. The color drained from her face. Not the shock of being wrongfully accused, but the unmistakable pallor of having been discovered. Her hand flew to her throat, a gesture I once found endearing. Now it seemed theatrical, rehearsed.
It didn't mean anything,
she whispered, the first of many lies that would follow. I felt a sudden surge of anger rise within me, hot and unfamiliar. Don't insult me by lying to my face after I've read everything. Your words, your plans, It meant enough for you to risk our family, our vows, our entire life together. It meant everything. That night, she slept in our bed while I sat in the kitchen. I stared at wedding photos and wondered how many smiles were fake and how many I love yous were empty. I traced my finger over her face in our favorite photo. It was from our trip to Maine when Sophia was just 2. Julia built sandcastles all morning. They laughed as the waves crashed over their creation.
It's not about the finished castle,
she told Sophia.
It's about the joy of building something together.
That memory of a tender mother and devoted wife clashed with the harsh reality of her betrayal. I thought of my parents and their 40-year marriage. They showed me how to persevere through hard times. My father often said, "Marriage isn't just about love, son. It's about committing to that love every day, especially when it's tough." Growing up in that stable home shaped my belief that family is sacred and worth fighting for. My father faced my mother's cancer, her depression, and their financial struggles without ever wavering. I promised myself I would be that kind of husband and father. Now, I wondered if I had failed, or if some marriages were just beyond saving. Dawn found me tired but determined. I couldn't throw away 15 years and 2 kids without trying to understand what went wrong. I needed to know what drove the woman I loved to find comfort elsewhere. The path ahead was unclear, but I knew I couldn't decide while in pain. "We need counseling," I told her over coffee. She couldn't meet my eyes. "We need to rebuild."
I'll do anything. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake.
I wanted to believe her. I did believe her. The thought that the woman I built my life around could deceive me for months, maybe years, was too painful to bear. I refused to be in the middle of one of those cheating wife Reddit stories that my sister was a fan of. For 2 weeks, we lived in a fragile truce. She came home right after work. Her phone was left unlocked. She began talking about our relationship and why she sought comfort elsewhere. I listened and tried to understand. I reflected on my failings as a husband. Long hours at the firm and my ambition distracted me. Emotional distance grew as we focused on careers and kids. Perhaps, I thought, we can heal this wound. Then came the night she didn't come home. My calls went unanswered. Her colleagues hadn't seen her. Her sister was confused. At 3 a.m, I heard the front door creak. Someone bumped into furniture and knocked a lamp to the floor. I found her in the living room. She was fumbling with her shoes. Her clothes smelled of alcohol and smoke. Her pupils were tiny, and her movements were unsteady. "Where were you?" I asked, though I already knew.
Out.
She slurred, trying to push past me toward the stairs.
Need sleep.
"Out where, Julia?" "With whom?" She laughed, a hollow sound that echoed in our silent house.
Don't interrogate me, Robert. You're not my father.
"No, I'm your husband." She looked at me with a hint of pity.
And how's that working out for you?
Her words struck me hard. This wasn't the woman I married. She was the gentle teacher who once nursed an injured bird in our bathroom. She spent weekends volunteering at the children's hospital, reading to young cancer patients. She cried during sad movies and sang lullabies to our kids, even when they were too old for them. I remembered the Christmas when Marco had pneumonia. Julia stayed up for 3 nights, applying cool compresses to his forehead. She refused to leave his side.
He needs to know we're here.
She insisted when I urged her to rest.
Children heal faster when they feel safe.
I admired her fierce protectiveness of our children, but something changed in Julia. A darkness surfaced in our marriage, bubbling up like toxic gas from a broken pipe. The following weeks revealed a nightmare worse than a true infidelity story. Julia's behavior became erratic. Late nights turned into days of her missing. When she returned, the scent of alcohol lingered on her clothes, hair, and skin. Once, I found prescription pills on our bathroom counter that weren't hers. Our savings account dwindled, thousands gone with no explanation.
The children need school supplies,
She said, taking out $500.
My car needed repairs.
She'd claim, and another $700 vanished. There were no new notebooks or fixed cars, just her thin face, the tremor in her hands when she went too long without a drink, and the mood swings that made us walk on eggshells. Our children were the real victims. Sophia, only 11, started having nightmares and wetting her bed again. Marco, my 14-year-old son, who once excelled in school, was now getting into fights. His eyes appeared vacant and angry. One night, I caught him trying to raid our liquor cabinet.
Like mother, like son,
He said with a bitter laugh that broke my heart. I held him then, this boy on the edge of manhood who seemed so small in my arms. "You are nothing like what she's becoming," I whispered fiercely into his hair. "You are strong, kind, and good. This isn't your burden to carry."
Why doesn't she love us anymore, Dad? What did we do wrong?
Nothing, I said, my own tears falling. You did nothing wrong. This isn't about us. It's about something broken inside her that we can't fix, no matter how much we love her. The breaking point came with a call from Sophia's school. They found her crying in the bathroom with bruises on her arm. When her teacher asked gently, Sophia said,
Mommy grabbed me really hard when I tried to stop her from leaving last night.
I left work right away. I held my daughter tight as she cried in the school counselor's office. The counselor, Elena, watched with kind eyes. I promised Sophia she would never be hurt again.
Mr. Jones,
Elena said softly once Sophia calmed down.
this isn't the first time Sophia has shared troubling things. In art therapy, she's drawn pictures that show distress at home.
She showed me the drawings, dark scenes of a figure on the floor with bottles around her. Another showed a small girl hiding in a closet. The raw emotion in those crayon strokes made me feel sick. That evening, Julia came home smelling of another man's cologne. I confronted her about Sophia's bruises. She responded by throwing a wine glass against the wall, barely missing Marco as he entered the room. The terror in my son's eyes made everything clear. This wasn't just about infidelity. It was about protecting my children from a mother who was spiraling out of control. In my desperation, I did something unexpected. I wrote a letter to Pope Francis. As a devout Catholic, I learned the importance of marriage early on. Despite my struggles, I felt guilt about breaking my vows. I worried I was failing the promise of for better or worse. If anyone could guide me, it had to be the Holy Father. Dear Pope Francis, I wrote with trembling hands, my wife has betrayed our marriage vows many times. She is now engaging in harmful behaviors. These actions threaten our relationship and put our children's safety at risk. Am I required to forgive her unconditionally and keep our marriage? Is there no limit to Christian forgiveness when our innocent children are in danger? I pray for your guidance in this dark hour. I sealed the letter and addressed it to Vatican City, unsure if I would receive a reply. Writing felt like a prayer, a way to reach out for wisdom beyond my confused heart. While I waited for guidance, I took action. I spoke with a lawyer about separation and custody. I opened a separate bank account to safeguard our finances. I locked the children's bedroom doors, not to keep them in, but to keep their unpredictable mother out during her worst moments. I noted everything: Sophia's absences, her financial troubles, bruises on her arm, and Marco's falling grades. This wasn't about revenge. It was about necessity. If a custody battle arose, I needed proof that the children weren't safe with their mother. 3 weeks after I sent my letter, an envelope arrived from the Vatican. My hands shook as I opened it. I could hardly believe that someone from the Pope's office, or even the Holy Father, had answered my plea for help. The letter said, "Sometimes, to protect dignity and children's well-being, we must set clear limits. This means standing firm against excessive demands, serious injustice, ongoing disrespect, or violence. Ending a relationship may be necessary, not just for self-protection, but also for the safety of innocent children. While marriage is sacred, the safety and dignity of each person, especially the vulnerable, are also sacred in God's eyes." Those words freed me from my guilt. They allowed me to protect my children and myself. I no longer felt like I had failed as a Catholic husband and father. I confronted Julia one last time. My father's strong example gave me courage. "Julia, you need to understand what's going on. You have 2 choices. Get professional help for your addiction and harmful behaviors, or I will file for divorce and seek full custody of the kids." She stared at me, her eyes narrowing.
You wouldn't dare take my children.
"They're our children, and yes, I would. Not to hurt you, but to protect them."
I don't need help. You're just trying to control me. You've always wanted to be perfect, just like your precious father. So self-righteous, so above it all.
Her words stung. They held a truth I couldn't ignore. I had always measured myself by my father's unwavering dedication. Unlike him, I was learning that love sometimes meant letting go. She packed a bag and disappeared for 3 days. When she returned, she had divorce papers from her lawyer. This was a calculated move to paint herself as the victim. The papers claimed I was controlling and emotionally abusive. They said I had turned the children against her and demanded primary custody with generous spousal support. The boldness of these claims took my breath away. But soon, I felt a sense of resolve. If Julia wanted a fight, she would get one. Not for our marriage, which was lost, but for the safety and well-being of our children. The months that followed felt like a war. The legal battles drained our savings. Friends and family had to pick sides in a conflict that should have stayed private. Sophia and Marco were interviewed by court-appointed psychologists. They had to express feelings no child should face. Throughout this painful process, I found unexpected strength in my role as a father. Making breakfast for the children each morning, helping with homework, tucking Sophia into bed with extra night lights to keep the bad dreams at bay, teaching Marco to channel his anger into sports rather than self-destruction.
Why is Mom doing this?
Sophia asked one night as I braided her hair for school the next day.
Doesn't she love us anymore?
How do you explain addiction and mental illness to a child? How do you tell your daughter that the woman who gave her life is now incapable of putting anyone's needs above her own destructive urges? Your mother is very sick, not the kind of sick you can see, like a cold or a broken arm. It's a sickness in her heart and mind that makes her do things that hurt herself and the people she loves. And yes, Sophia, she does love you. The real mother inside does. But right now, the sickness is stronger than her love. Sophia considered this with the profound wisdom sometimes found in children.
Like when Marco had appendicitis and the doctors had to take out the bad part so the rest of him could be healthy.
Something like that. But this kind of sickness is harder to fix. Your mother needs to want to get better, and right now she doesn't think she's sick.
Will she ever get better, Daddy?
I hope so, my dear. I pray for it every night. I did pray for Julia's healing. Not for our marriage, that ship had sailed, but for the woman I once loved, the mother of my children, a soul in torment. The court revealed shocking evidence. Julia's affair partner said she used drugs around him. Bank records showed cash withdrawals near drug-dealing spots. A judge-ordered toxicology screening came back positive for cocaine and prescription opioids. The court awarded me full custody. Julia could only have supervised visits after finishing rehab, which she refused. She insisted the results were fake and claimed everyone was against her.
You'll regret this,
She hissed as we left the courtroom. Her face, once beautiful, now looked gaunt and hard.
They're my children too.
I gazed at her, trying to find the woman who used to stay up all night making homemade valentines for Sophia's classmates. She had taught Marco to ride a bike with care. She had been my partner and best friend for 15 years. Now I saw only a stranger, hollowed out by addiction and denial. I know they are. That's why I hope you'll get the help you need. The door will always be open when you do. She turned away, shoulders stiff with anger or pride or both. It was the last conversation we would have that wasn't conducted through lawyers. After this painful chapter, I received another letter from the Vatican. It was a brief note of blessing for my family, encouraging me to prioritize my children's welfare. It reminded me that true devotion isn't about enduring abuse. It's about making tough choices based on love and protecting the innocent. Freed from the daily chaos of Julia's presence, our household began to heal. Sophia's nightmares became less frequent. Marco's grades improved as he focused more on his studies. For the first time in nearly a year, laughter echoed through our home. During this cautious rebuilding, Elena, Sophia's school counselor, became an unexpected support. Unlike friends who drifted away during the divorce, Elena understood the complex emotions in our broken family. Sometimes, after a tough therapy session with the kids, Elena would stay for coffee. She listened as I shared fears I couldn't express to anyone else. I worried that the children would inherit Julia's addictive tendencies. I feared they would blame me for our family's end. I felt anxious that I would fail them as a single father.
You're doing everything right.
She assured me one evening as we sat on the porch watching Sophia and Marco play basketball in the driveway.
You're present. You're consistent. You're honest with them without burdening them with adult problems. That's exactly what they need right now.
6 months after the divorce, our lives changed again. Julia had a single-car accident on a rainy night. Her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. She died instantly. When the police officer knocked, I knew what he would say. A part of me had been waiting for this since I first saw her unfocused gaze. The kids were at school, which felt like a small mercy. I sat in the kitchen, feeling many emotions. I felt grief for the woman I once loved. I felt relief that the kids were safe from her chaos. Then, guilt for that relief washed over me. It all led to deep sadness, knowing she would never come back to us. Telling the kids was the hardest thing I've ever faced. Sophia fell into my arms, sobbing for the mother she remembered from happier times. Marco's reaction was more complicated, a mix of grief, anger, and guilt. It would take years of therapy to untangle those feelings.
I hated her.
He confessed during one of his darkest moments.
Sometimes I wished she would just disappear forever, and now she has, and it's my fault.
No, I said firmly, holding his shoulders, forcing him to meet my eyes. You didn't cause this, Marco. Thoughts don't have that kind of power. Your mother made choices. Many, many choices that led to this moment. None of them were your responsibility, and none of them were because she didn't love you. In the wake of Julia's death, we established new rituals to honor her memory while acknowledging the complexity of our feelings. We planted a cherry tree in the backyard that blooms around her birthday. We remember photos from better days and tell stories of the woman she used to be before addiction took over. She was the mother who taught Sophia to bake cinnamon rolls from scratch. She also stayed up all night helping Marco build a solar system model for the science fair. In the next year, my bond with Elena grew. It started as professional respect. Then it turned into friendship and became something deeper. She knew we needed to take things slowly. The children's emotional healing was the priority. Elena joined us for dinners, movie nights, and weekend outings. She became a natural part of our home long before romance began. I kissed her for the first time on a park bench while the children played soccer nearby. It wasn't planned. It felt like a natural step after months of growing feelings.
Are you sure? The children...
Adore you. So do I. Still, we moved carefully. We were aware of the delicate balance in our healing family. When I finally asked the children how they felt about Elena joining our lives more permanently, their reactions surprised me.
Took you long enough,
Marco said with the first genuine smile I'd seen from him in months.
She makes you happy, Dad. We can all see it.
Would she be like our new mom?
No one will ever replace your mother. Elena knows that and respects it. She would be Elena, someone who loves us and wants to be part of our family. Sophia thought about this, twisting a strand of hair around her finger, a gesture just like Julia's that made my heart ache.
I think I'd like that. She helps me with my bad dreams.
2 years after Julia's death, Elena and I got married in a small garden ceremony. Our cherry tree bloomed nearby. Sophia was the flower girl, scattering petals with serious focus. Marco stood by my side as best man, his face full of emotions as he handed me the ring marking our new chapter. Pope Francis's letter hangs framed in our home. Its gilded edges catch the morning light, reminding me of the divine guidance I needed most. The words have become a cornerstone of our rebuilt life. They show us that the right path can be unclear. Protecting the vulnerable is important. Also, new beginnings can emerge from painful endings. Marco studies architecture in college. He follows my footsteps with pride. Sophia, now 16, advocates for addiction awareness. She turns our family's darkest chapter into a way to help others. Elena brings steady support to our lives. She never tried to replace Julia. Instead, she helps the kids hold on to their best memories while creating new traditions for us. As for me, I am no longer the man whose life shattered on an ordinary Tuesday evening. That pain shaped me, but it does not define me. I have learned that forgiveness isn't about erasing wrongs, but about refusing to let them poison your future. I have discovered strength I never knew I possessed, capacity for joy I thought lost forever. If you are in the darkness now, if betrayal or addiction or loss has left you feeling that your story has ended, know this: it hasn't. What feels like an ending may be the first painful step toward a life more authentic and meaningful than you can currently imagine. The path forward isn't easy. It takes courage to set boundaries. It takes wisdom to protect the vulnerable. It also takes faith to believe in unseen possibilities. Beyond that journey lies a peace we can't fully understand. There is joy, too, mixed with sorrow, making it even sweeter. My lost love chronicles with Julia aren't just my story, could be yours as well. If my words resonated with you, share your own cheating stories or healing journey in the comments below. And remember, you are not alone in your pain and healing. Sometimes what feels like the end is really the start of something better.